Hello and welcome to our Haircut for Charity podcast. My name's Scott Jenkins and I'm part of the business development team here at m-hance. For those of you joining us for the first time today, Haircut for Charity was set up by m-hance's Chief Executive, Alan Moody. And this was done in direct response to support charities during the COVID-19 lockdown. And Haircut for Charity is encouraging people to donate the cost of their haircut to the charity of their choice, or by donating to our central fund, which we are then distributing to many charities. Many charities, including World Bicycle Relief, and I'm delighted to welcome Allison Dufosee from World Bicycle Relief to today's podcast. Welcome, Allison. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me.
So, Allison, could I ask you to start by telling us a little bit about the mission for World Bicycle Relief?
Yeah, sure. And ironically, World Bicycle Relief sort of fell out of another world tragedy. It was the tsunami in 2004-05, when the whole infrastructure of a massive area was wiped out. And our founder, a guy called FK Day, went in and said to the teams on the ground, if we brought in bicycles, would that make a difference? And because the whole of the infrastructure had been wiped out, they said absolutely. People couldn't get from A to B, they couldn't move anything. And he went to his friends in the bicycle business and said, we need to create a really strong, robust bike to be able to move people and stuff around on this really rugged terrain. And they came up with what we now have is the Buffalo bicycle, which is stress tested to carry 100 kilos on the back rack. I've seen it carry more than that, to be honest. So we provide bicycles to those who are challenged by the barrier of distance, and as well as the tsunami and what happened there, we also provide bicycles for children to get to school in remote rural areas of sub-Saharan Africa and beyond, and especially girls. 70% of our bicycles go to girls. But at this time, we're actually sort of pivoting towards healthcare and the healthcare community workers that we have bicycles already in these areas. We now know more than ever that they require bikes to be able to go and see patients and to be able to tell people about what is happening, because they don't have the kind of communication systems that we do.
Yeah, it's an excellent initiative, and definitely a sort of climate friendly way to get people moving quickly. And I've had a brief look at the Buffalo bicycle, and it's quite an interesting piece of kit. So, and how's the charity funded?
It's all through donations, so we don't get any sort of statutory funding. For a long time, it was funded mainly by people who went off and did sponsored events, who did cycle rides. I think it's fair to say that most of our supporters are cyclists, because they understand the power and the freedom and the joy of being on a bike, and they want to give a little back. We get some money through trusts and foundations, but especially in the last sort of couple of years, we have a lot of corporate support from companies who are involved in mobility. So that's the sort of main makeup of our funding.
Okay, and how's the sort of COVID-19 situation impacted the charity's sort of day-to-day operations?
Well, in the UK, I'm now flying solo. I had to furlough the rest of the team. So that's quite tough. Few inboxes to man. But I think really that what I would say is that we have sort of pivoted our focus very much from education into healthcare, and just how we can respond in a thoughtful and meaningful way in the countries where we work. So we now have emergency status in 4 of our 5 program countries, which means that we can accept bicycles into the countries. We can move them around more easily where other transport is very restricted. So we've had to be quite nimble in how we've done that. But I think one of the benefits of being a relatively small charity in the grand scheme of things is that we are able to be that agile whereas larger organisations who have a lot of mechanics behind what they do, they might not be able to react as quickly. We've actually been able to do that really quite well.
Yeah, I think it's critical, isn't it, that ability to be able to adapt, and we've seen some great examples in other podcasts that we've done. So yeah, it's great to hear. So what's the sort of impact been in terms of, you know, from a fundraising perspective?
Gosh.
You mentioned that the team's shrunk.
Yeah, don't make my lip wobble. Our income is going to be severely impacted. As I said earlier, most of our fundraising in the past has come in through people doing fundraising events, and we have no fundraising events because nobody can do anything. All of the big events, you know, things like the marathon, we're not too sure about what's happening with the Ride London, but even people who would go off on their own and do Land's End, John O'Groats, or London to Paris or whatever, that, you know, that those rides are all now off. Yeah. So I would say probably half of our funding has disappeared overnight, which obviously has a severe impact on us. So we do have supporters who are thinking of inventive ways to do things, and I know that the indoor cycling society, they have really taken off. I know that the bike trainers are sold out across the world because people have been cycling on their trainers indoors rather than going outside, and we've got a few people who are taking on monumental challenges, you know, doing Everest on Zwift and stuff like that for us. So yes, anything innovative is always welcome.
Yeah, well, let's hope as things start to ease, then we'll see some of those activities get back on track. So how are initiatives like Haircut for Charity sort of helping, and what's the importance there?
Oh, massively, because not only is it a great initiative, and I have to actually do my husband's hair later because he's looking a bit shaggy. It's also getting the word out there as well, just to be involved in an initiative like this along some of the sort of larger household names of charity, gets our brand seen, and makes people ask the question, who are World Bicycle Relief, what are they doing, how can we help? So it's an invaluable platform for us, really. So thank you for having us along board.
Excellent. Okay, so I mean, you know, it's been really great speaking with you, Alison, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure we can all agree that the work that charities like World Bicycle Relief does is now as important as ever. So if you'd like to hear more information on Haircut for Charity or the fantastic work that World Bicycle Relief is doing, you can do so by following the details at the end of this podcast. And finally, just to say thank you to everybody for tuning in, and see you next time.